Did you know that you can be to open water in as little as 9 minutes from Cape Harbor, but choose the wrong canal in the same neighborhood and you're looking at nearly 50 minutes? That one decision could change how you enjoy your boat every single day you own the home. Now in this video, I'm going to take you on a full map tour of Cape Harbor and the surrounding neighborhoods, one of the most exclusive boating communities in all of Cape Coral. We're going to cover the exact boat routes and distance to open water from every canal, the 2 bridge heights you need to know about, flood zones throughout the entire neighborhood, and a breakdown of all 4 gated communities inside Cape Harbor so you know exactly what you're buying into. I'm Barry Cessna, your Cape Coral Golf Access Realtor, and this information you won't find anywhere else. Let's get into it.
Hey guys, welcome aboard. I'm Barry Cessna, your Golf Access Canal Realtor here in Cape Coral, Florida. We've got a lot of great information to go over. We're going to talk about the southwest Cape Coral neighborhood of Cape Harbor. We're going to look over distance to open water, bridge heights, flood zones, and a lot of the cool neighborhoods in this area. Now, this is one of the most exclusive areas of Cape Coral, so I think you're going to want to watch this video and see exactly what Cape Coral has to offer. So where exactly is Cape Coral? Cape Coral is located in southwest Florida, just across the river from Fort Myers. We're 2 hours south of Tampa, about 50 minutes north of Naples, and then an easy drive, 2.5 to Miami, and then 3 to Orlando, Disney World, the parks there. So it's really easy access all over Florida, but when it's time to escape the big city, Cape Coral is a great place to come. Now, if you're not aware of Cape Coral, I'm sure you've seen it, and once you've seen Cape Coral, it's hard to not see it again because there's so many cool canals here. When we zoom in, you're going to just see all these amazing canals, and this is a truly designed city that was done by the Rosen brothers back in the 50s. They bought the land, they dredged the canals, and they designed Cape Coral. Over 400 miles of canals, both freshwater and saltwater. So let's go ahead and zoom in here. What we're going to focus on today is going to be southwest Cape Coral and the Cape Harbor neighborhood. So as we come in, I'm going to point out a couple of the most exclusive neighborhoods in Cape Coral. First one's going to be this little peninsula down here. It's called Hermitage, and it's a deep water peninsula. It has a gate right here. Now there's 19 lots here, 17 homes built as of this map right here. And as you can see, there's going to be a 60-foot yacht right here. This is all deep water, large water views, really exclusive area. To have a home in this neighborhood, you're going to be paying a couple of $1 million plus, just because it has such easy access out to open water, and it truly is a magnificent neighborhood. Now, as we come up the spreader just a bit, this is the south spreader, we're going to come into the Cape Harbor area. Now, this is Cape Harbor, which was designed as well. You have a couple of high-rise condo buildings here. You have the mid-rise building up here, and then they're building some more over here. This is the Safe Harbor Marina here at Cape Harbor. Now, you can dock up to a 60-foot yacht here. They have both wet slips, transient slips, and then over here in this building, they have some dry slips as well for the smaller boats. As we move a little bit further over, you're going to have the funky fish houses right here, which are going to be 3- and 4-story homes right on the water. You can dock your boat right out back. Most of these do have elevators in them and some incredible views because they are built so much higher than the surrounding homes. As we go over a little bit further, we have the Cape Harbor single-family home communities, gated communities, which there's 4 access points. There's access point right here. Here's number 2. And then what I want to point out is number 3. This is one of Cape Coral's most exclusive neighborhoods. Now, this is Harbor Preserve. It's actually a little island that's been built out. These are all deep water docks. Everybody, or deep water canals here, everybody in that neighborhood has golf access. So as you can see how these are just absolutely spectacular. If you're looking for privacy, these homes are built back here and just have absolutely amazing opportunities. Now in here, you're going to be paying again $2-3 million plus to have an estate on Harbor Preserve. And then once we go over here, we have the 4th little peninsula here coming off of El Dorado Parkway West. And this is also included in the Cape Harbor HOA community. HOA is fairly minimal for these neighborhoods, but there is an HOA where the gated communities are. As we go north, all these homes up here are just Cape Coral, standard Cape Coral. There are no HOAs. It's just normal Cape Coral neighborhoods. And then the last thing I want to point out for neighborhood-wise, as we come on down to the very end of El Dorado West, we have Peninsula Point, which is this one right here, which is absolutely beautiful. Palm Line Street, incredible homes overlooking the mangroves on the western side. And on the eastern side, you're going to have this 200-foot canal with incredible views as well. So those are the neighborhoods here in the very far southwest part of Cape Coral that I find extremely attractive and very exclusive if you're looking for something a little bit better or nicer in these areas. Now, today we're going to be looking at two main canal systems. We're going to look at southwest Cape Coral. I'm going to call this the Cape Harbor neighborhood because this is where Cape Harbor is located. And we're going to be looking from Cape Coral Parkway south to the South Spreader on the western side, and that's this large canal system that goes on down. It's 200 feet wide in most places, and it cuts through and goes on down the whole way to the river, the Clusatchee River. Now, the spreader is where many of the people, if you're west of Chiquita, that's where you're going to have to empty into. So if you have a boat docked in your backyard and need to traverse out to the open water, you're going to have to go over to the South Spreader in order to get out. The other canal system we're going to look at today is the Gloriana Canal, which is this one right here. It's one of my favorite canals in all the city because it's such a beautiful canal and easy access out to the open water. So we're going to look at some of these canals here and on the western side of the Gloriana Canal. In another video, we'll get into the eastern side in the 8 Lakes area over there. So where's the shopping? Let's cover that real quick, and then we'll jump into distance to open water. So the shopping, this is your main hub right here at the corner of Cape Coral Parkway and Chiquita. You're going to have your Publix, McDonald's, I believe you have a Dunkin' over there, and then you have the J&P Fusion sushi restaurant, as well as the Lobster Lady, which is one of the most popular seafood restaurants in Cape Coral. Gets lots of great reviews. So if you're looking for some good seafood, a good environment, check that one out. And then, of course, Cape Harbor down here is going to have multiple restaurants. You have Rum Runners, which is one of my favorites, where you can sit right here on the water. A lot of space there, live music. Just a great place to really sit and enjoy the boats going by. This is the main artery into Southwest Cape Coral, the main canal artery. So you're going to see a ton of boats going by there on Saturdays and Sundays. And really, in season, you're going to see them going by every day of the week. And then on the other side here, you're going to have the French Press, Fathom, other restaurants here right on the marina if you like to look at the large boats. Great places to be. And then they have a bar there as well, an outdoor bar that's a really cool area. Now, if you need something bigger, like the bigger stores, you need the Target or the Lowe's. Those are going to be up here on the corner of Veterans and Santa Barbara. You have your Aldi there, your Wawa's, and some other restaurants as well. And then for some nightlife, you're going to have the downtown Cape Coral with another huge selection of restaurants, nightlife, and many other businesses as well here in the downtown Cape Coral area. So that's how to get you all around Cape Coral and the amenities that you're going to have in that local area. So next up, I want to jump into distance to open water because that's what's most important for you when choosing a home here in Cape Coral. It's really important to know how far you are to open water, because if you're going to dock your boat right in your backyard, it's going to be absolutely magnificent. And you might find an incredible home, but if it's going to take you over an hour and a half to open water, that might change things a little bit. A lot of people come to me and they say, Barry, I want to be on the water every day, or I want to be on the water at least once a week. That's great to know. So we probably want to find you a home that's within 30 minutes of the open water. If you say, Barry, I like to boat, I like the idea of having a boat in my backyard, but I'm not really huge on boating, so I'm happy with being out there on the water maybe a couple times a year, then we're going to get you a home that's probably a little further back in the canal system for two reasons. One, you're going to have incredible value. You're going to get a much bigger, better home that way. Oftentimes, it can save you money on flood insurance and other things as well, depending on where you're located. So we're going to look at those two aspects. But first of all, let's pull up the map where we talk about distance to open water for Southwest Cape Coral, the Cape Harbor neighborhood. Let's go ahead and do that right now. All right, let's jump into distance to open water. Now, one of the things that it's going to surprise you is that in this Cape Harbor area, the southwest part of Cape Coral, there's actually up to 50-minute traverses out to open water. So you really have to be careful where you have your home, because if you're not careful, you're going to be quite a distance to get to open water. Now we're going to dive in first to the farthest, and that's going to be on the Mars Canal, and that's actually right at the corner of Chiquita and El Dorado. And what surprised me is it's right across the street from Cape Harbour, so an excellent location. You can just walk across for dinner. Really nice area. That's this Mars Canal right here. But it's almost 5 miles to get to the Caloosahatchee River from here. 48 minutes. And that's going to be the Mars Canal. And the reason that is because you have to traverse the whole way over to the South Spreader in order to get out. So all these canals we're looking at now, everything west of Chiquita, is going to have to go over to the South Spreader. Next up, we're going to look at the Hillcrest Canal right here. It's about 4.4 miles from this location, 44 minutes out to open water. That's going to be right south of Cape Coral Parkway. Over here is your Publix, and you're going to, again, have to traverse on down and then underneath 2 bridges in order to get on out. Now, as we scoot over, we're going to be at the Eternity and Merritt Canals. It's going to be about 3.4 miles, 34 minutes to open water from this location right here. What you'll notice, one of the things that makes it so desirable in this area is how wide these canals are. There's many canals here in this neighborhood that are 200 feet across, which is a really desirable area because you get those incredible views. If we zoom in here, you can look at the intersecting canals, and right here on these points, they just get some beautiful views as well. All right, so as we go over here, we're going to go underneath the bridge here at Sands Boulevard, and then let's jump up here, right here at Peninsula Point, that Eternity Canal in the South Spreader. You're looking at about 2.8 miles or 28 minutes to get on down to the Caloosahatchee River. And then if we go a little further north, like this was what I would consider the farthest northwest part of this neighborhood, is Cape Coral Parkway in the South Spreader, about 34 minutes, 3.4 miles to get on down to the Caloosahatchee River. And everybody's going to traverse over here to the South Spreader and then right on down. So another key point to understand, if you own a home right on the spreader here, you're going to get to see a lot of boat traffic going by because that's the main artery on out. It's kind of like the highway system of the canal system. Not that you're going to be going super fast because we're still at no wake idle speed, but you are going to be able to see a lot of boats going by. It's the main artery. Now, as we go on down here around Peninsula Point, we're going to come over here to the fourth gated community of Cape Harbour, the Cape Harbour development. And this is the Mordred Canal and the South Spreader. It's 1.8 miles, about 18 minutes on out to the river. And here's Harbor Preserve. So you're talking about 15 minutes from Harbor Preserve to get you on down to the Caloosahatchee, which is really phenomenal. And as we go in here to Safe Harbor, you're talking about almost 1 mile, about 9 minutes to get out to the open water from there. Now these are all deep water canals in this area, so you can dock some pretty large boats in the harbor or even behind your home if you live in one of these neighborhoods here. Now, like we talked about, the lock is no longer there, so you can easily traverse right on through. Now they do have fuel for your boat right here at the Rum Runners, right near Rum Runners. So if you need to fill up, that's the place to do that. And from Rum Runners, you're talking about 5 minutes to get out to open water, about a half a mile, a really easy jog. So you have a lot of people coming in from all over Cape Coral to visit Rum Runners to have lunch or dinner. And so they'll just come on down the river and then shoot right up the canal here and be at Rum Runners in about 5 minutes from the river. And here's the river. Glover Bright is right here. In this facility right here, this complex is going to be Tarpon Point, where the Westin Hotel is at. And they've got a large marina there as well. But we'll dive into that on one of the next videos when we talk about the 8 Lakes area. So let's go ahead and jump up here. Now this is the Gloriana Canal, which is one of the most beautiful canals here in the Cape Coral area. Lots of incredible homes built right along the Gloriana Canal and easy access to get out to the water. From here, the very top at Cape Coral Parkway, you're looking at about 1.9 miles, about 19 minutes. So a really easy to navigate right on down to the river there. And just some really cool houses in this area. I like to say that there's areas of Cape Coral that feels like a true boaters community. And this is one of those areas where everybody has a boat. Everybody's just enjoying that life. All right, here's where the Casaba Canal intersects. And we're about 0.8 miles, about 8 minutes to get you right on down. All right, and that's going to be distance to open water from the Cape Harbor neighborhoods. So maximum about 50 minutes, and then of course you can get substantially closer than that. Now, the further you are away, the cheaper the homes are going to get. So you might find a home that's looks exactly the same right here on the Mars Canal. Same square footage, same year built, everything's the same, but you're going to pay quite a bit more if it's over here on the spreader. Probably a couple $100,000 more if you're having the same home on the spreader over here than if it's on Mars Canal. So keep in mind that if you want to live that true boater lifestyle and you want to be able to get to open water easily, you're going to be out there fishing every day, you want to be close to open water. If you're not really concerned about that, you say, Barry, 48 minutes is not that big of a deal, but I just like the location. I'd love to be right across the street from Cape Harbor. Then there's other priorities to keep in mind, and you're going to get a better value that way as well. So, all right, next up, we're going to talk about bridge heights, which is so important. So let's go ahead and jump into that as well. All right, this is going to be an easy one because in this whole area, we only have 2 bridges. Now, having a bridge, meaning basically you have to traverse under a bridge if you're going out to the open water, that means you're in an indirect access canal. If you don't have any bridges, that means you're in a direct access canal. So that really determines what type of boat you can actually have. If you want a sailboat, you want a larger cabin cruiser, you want a catamaran, you want to have a large center console to go out to the open water, you're going to have to be more on an unrestricted or direct access canal. Now, if you're more into, you just want to have a nice boat, maybe it's a 26-foot center console, maybe it's a deck boat, maybe it's a little pontoon where you can go out to the river, do some back bay stuff, or even go out to the open water in some of the center consoles. You can be behind the bridge. But anytime you're behind the bridge, it's going to give you better value. So you're going to be able to get a cheaper home, again, than if you were on the other side of the bridge. So if we go back here to the eastern side of this canal system where we go out to the south spreader, you're going to see here at Aqualinda, you have the Eternity Canal. You have a bridge of 9 feet 5 inches. So you need to make sure that your boat is not higher than 9 feet 5 inches. And this is at mean high water level. So they've taken a look at the average of the water levels over the last several years, and this is what they've determined is it's typically the mean high is going to be about 9 feet 5 inches here. Now, something to keep in mind, you have to look at all the bridges in the canal system, not just the one closest to your house, because you have to traverse under all of them in order to get out. So this one's at 9 feet 5 inches. Let's go over here and look at the one at Sands. Oh, the one here at Sands is actually 8 feet 9 inches. So this is the lowest bridge that you have to go under in order to get out. So you need to make sure that your boat can go under 8 feet 9 inches. A lot of people with the center consoles will still need to take off. Like if you have a T-top, a hardtop T-top, you'll still need to take off your navigational equipment on top to get you under the bridge. But they do have some quick release stuff nowadays that makes it really simple just to take that off and keep on going. So if you already have your boat, it's extremely important to understand this. If you're looking at purchasing a boat, it's extremely important to understand what boat you would be potentially able to purchase and that it's not going to hinder the lifestyle that you envision when moving to Cape Coral. So one of the first questions I ask people, if they are moving here with a boat already, we need to know what the draft is. We need to know the height of the boat from the water line up, and that'll really give us some direction on where we need to go to look at homes. All right, and then if we go over to the Gloriana Canal, that's right over here. We do not have any bridges. So these are all direct access canals right on out. Only 2 bridges in the whole area on Aqualinda and on Sands. Next up, we're going to chat about flood zones because that's a big question I get all the time. Barry, I don't want to be in a flood zone. Or Barry, what's the flood zone? Barry, if I'm on a canal, do I have to be in a flood zone? So a flood zone, you don't have to be in a flood zone that would require flood insurance. If you're on a canal, there are many of those areas in the city of Cape Coral where we can get you in Zone X or X500, which basically limits your chances of having a flood there. However, if you do want some of the best water access in the city, you're typically going to be in flood zone AE, which lenders do require flood insurance, which I recommend flood insurance for sure if you're going to be in AE, even X500, just for your own peace of mind. And then it comes into cost, which we look at that throughout the due diligence period with the insurance agent to see exactly what it's going to cost you each year in order to have that home on the Gulf Access Canal. Now, some it's minimal, $1,200 a year, $1,500 a year, $2,000. Others, it can be quite extensive, $6,000 a year, $8,000 a year. So it's so important to understand. And just because a home is right on the south spreader doesn't mean the insurance is going to be high. There's many different variables there, and that's why we talk with the insurance agent to understand that during the due diligence period, so there are not any surprises. Okay, let's jump into flood zones. Okay, let's talk about flood zones because that's something that always comes up in conversations with my clients. They want to know what flood zone they're going to be in. Is it going to be requiring flood insurance, and what's the cost going to be? So there's 3 different flood zones that we have to concern ourselves with here in Cape Coral. There's AE, there's X500, and there's X. So AE is the one where insurance companies, or mortgage companies rather, would require you to have flood insurance. X500 and X, they typically do not. Now that would be up to your insurance company and the policy that you choose, but typically they do not. Now, should you have flood insurance in X500 and X? Certainly doesn't hurt, but it's not required. Now, in AE, the way that you want to look at it is that there's a 1 in 100 chance each year that there's a substantial flooding event. So it doesn't really mean 1 every 100 years, but it means there's a 1% chance every year that there's a substantial flooding event. Then when we get into X500, that means there's a 1 in 500 chance of having a substantial flooding event. And then Zone X is typically it's very minimal flood hazards. So today we're going to be looking at Cape Coral Parkway, which is right here, over to Gloriana Canal, which is right here. So this area right here is what we're looking at. And as you can see, most of the homes in this area are going to be in Zone AE. That's going to be the pinkish color here. The yellow is X500. So there are a few, as we zoom in here near the Sands Bridge, we can see these homes here typically do not require flood insurance. Now, one of the things you need to be aware of is what I understand, and this is just a drawing here, but if it's completely in the yellow, then you're not likely to have flood insurance. But if there's any piece of it, like this home here, that's sitting in AE, then you would be required to have flood insurance if you had a loan on this particular house. Now again, during the due diligence period, we're going to talk with the insurance company and they'll tell you exactly what you need or don't need. Over here we have Zone X for this house. This is incredible. So this is built really high. Anytime that you have a home near a bridge, they're typically built higher because the bridge had to be built higher. So the home and the lots around there are higher as well. Now as we zoom in here, you can see part of this home is outside X500. So it's in the AE. Same with this one. So even though parts of it are higher, it still would likely require flood insurance by the lender. That's one of the things that when you are closer to open water, you typically are going to be required to have that flood insurance. You're going to be in AE, so there is a little bit more risk than if you were in X or X500. So you need to understand that risk when purchasing here in Cape Coral. If you say, Barry, I absolutely do not want to be in flood zone AE where the risk is higher, then we can find you a home that's in Zone X or X500 where you wouldn't be required to have flood insurance and the chances of it ever flooding are extremely minimal. We can look for those homes because we do have plenty of those homes on Gulf access canals. Oftentimes you do lose something, maybe it's not direct access or maybe it's a little further out to open water, but we do have those available. So as you can see here as we're skimming through, most of these homes are all going to be in AE in the Cape Harbor area in southwest Cape Coral. So keep that in mind. If you are looking in those areas, it's one of the most desirable areas. However, you are likely going to be required to purchase flood insurance. Now, one of the things that I want to also educate you on is oftentimes if the current homeowner has flood insurance, it can be transferable to the new owner at that current rate. So we can get really great rates that way for our clients when we buy homes that have those transferable policies. So that's always a question to ask as well. And that's why it's important to have an agent that understands flood zones and understands the different areas and then can point you in those areas as well. It's one of the things when I talk to my clients, depending on their level of comfort when it comes to flood zones or hurricanes, things like that, if they say they're terrified of that idea, then we're going to put them in an area of Cape Coral that's going to have very minimal risk. If they say, Barry, I don't care, all I want to be is close to open water, I want to be in my boat every day, then we're going to find the neighborhoods that work best for that as well, because there are multiple different options here in Cape Coral. If you are thinking about buying, selling, investing, retiring, relocating here to Cape Coral, I'd love to chat with you. It is extremely important to have an agent that understands all these different aspects of the canal system here in Cape Coral: flood zones, distance to open water, bridge heights. It's extremely important to understand, or to have an agent that understands those things, so there are no surprises down the road. I've talked to many people that are in the process of selling, or they just didn't understand all the dynamics of Cape Coral when they moved here, and they're extremely unhappy. And the challenge is that they weren't educated from the get-go. So go ahead and book a call with me. Let's chat about your goals, your dreams, what it is that you're looking for. Maybe you're looking to buy in 2 or 3 years from now. Maybe you're looking to buy in 2 or 3 months from now. Either way, let's chat. Let's go ahead and talk and put together a plan so you can be living in paradise here, docking your boat in your backyard and navigating up to open water anytime you so desire. Another quick thing to understand is we boat 365 days a year here. We don't have to put our boat into storage come October and wait until April or May to pull it back out again. It's a really great way of living, and if you love that lifestyle, there's no better place than Cape Coral. So go ahead and reach out to me, click the link, let's chat, and let's get you here in Cape Coral. Look forward to chatting with you, look forward to meeting you, and looking forward to you living your dream here in Cape Coral.